guys, it's me, your favorite teacher. You know, that one right there that saved the world from Thanos back in 2019. All right, to build your haunted houses, yes, I am your favorite, and yes, I did save the world from Thanos back in 2019. Now, today we're working on our Halloween houses. A couple things you're going to need is a pair of scissors. You will need your own because there's a lot of cutting to do in this project. The other thing you're going to need is some glue. Now, I do like to use the Elmer's glue. It does tend to be a little bit sticky and messy. However, you can also use a glue stick for most of the things on here. In the video, you will see that I am using sometimes a hot glue gun. Now, unfortunately, students can't use a hot glue gun. You'll have to have your teachers, if they're using that, to patch up some parts on your haunted houses because it can actually be a little bit dangerous. Son of a nutcracker! Ooh. See, it can burn. Even heroes get burned sometime. Now the other thing I like to use is some some clothes clips. So I will put these on to hold my papers together to dry. All right, let's get started. This does take a while. Make sure you follow the directions. Now, if any time it goes too fast, you can pause the video, you can go back and replay the video, and just make sure that you follow each step correctly. Let's get started. Now, one of the first things I'm going to do for step one is I am going to cut or scratch out my windows. Now, we can do this with a safety pin, we can do it with a tack, your teachers can do it with something a little bit sharper, but you're going to scratch along where the windows are. You'll see a solid line. We will be cutting on the solid lines. So for the inner windows, it's a little hard to do with scissors, so I go ahead and I scratch that with a tack. Now I'm going to do that on all the windows on each wall and also on the upper level. So right here you can see I've scratched out 3 of them there. I'm going to scratch out this top one on this side. And one thing I found that if you're scratching it, you will have to flip it over and scratch on the opposite side as well, but you'll be able to see where you scratched on those lines in order to pop those windows out. Now again, if you remember, I mentioned there is this page, there's a second page, and a third page with things we've got to scratch or cut out. Okay? I'm going to go ahead and go back over my lines again just to make sure I've got them before I go on to the next one. Now I'm ready for step 2. And on step 2, you can see I'm going over the guide here. It says to cut walls out on solid lines. So where I see a solid line, I'm going to take my scissors and I'm going to cut along the solid line, not the dotted line. That's where I'm going to fold. So I'm going to cut out each piece of the lower level house. Alright, now I'm ready to move on to step 3. For step 3, I'm going to double check to make sure all my cuts are done, and then I'm also going to be folding on the dotted lines on those 2 walls, and I'm going to also pop open the windows. Right now I'm just getting those little last cuts that people tend to miss at the bottom of the house where it folds. Okay, for the windows, after I've scored them, I might need to score both sides, but I can then pop them open like so. That looks really creepy with everything open and all the jagged edges. Okay, I'm going to pop open the other one. As you can see, I didn't scratch very good there, but I'm getting those open. I'm going to do this on each and every piece, and then I'm going to, of course, fold on those dotted lines. Now, it's important to get as close to those dotted lines as possible. Here we go with our first fold. I'm going to take down towards the bottom where that one shows. I'm going to fold on that dotted line. That's going to give me a base to glue to. That's where I'm going to glue it to my cardboard. Okay? I've got one there, and I've got one here. And you'll also see on there there's stars, which mean we're going to glue there as well. But I'm going to wait till it's all folded before I start to glue. Now you can use your glue gun, you can use your Elmer's white glue, and you can use your glue stick. Okay, I've still got to fold down for the top. Now these are the parts that are going to hold my roof on. So I'm going to fold them down. I'm going to put glue on them later to hold the roof together. Like so. Then I've got one more fold for that wall. Once you've made all those folds, it should look very similar to this. Okay, it will stand up on its own right there too. Now you're going to do that with the other piece as well. Now we're ready for step 4. Now, if you remember, anything that had a star, we're going to glue. We're going to put glue on there. Right now we're going to put it on the walls, and your little guide, if you forget, will show you what to do. Stars, we glue. Dots, we fold. So I'm going to get my Elmer's glue. Now don't be putting your Elmer's glue on your friend or on your neighbor or on your hands. We have a limited supply. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to put it on the side there. I'm not going to put it on the roof part yet, just the sides. And I'm also going to put it along the bottom. Now along the bottom, the reason why I put it there is so that it will stick to my cardboard. Okay, now I'm going to put it where I think I want my house to go. I think right there looks pretty good. And now I'm going to take the glue and do the same on the other wall. Along the side and along the bottom. Now I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to stick them together. Now this is where I like to use my clips again. So I touch those together, pinch them together, and I can either hold it for a while if I don't have clips, but I do have clips right now, so I'm going to go ahead and put a clip there to hold that on there. Now I'm going to go over to the other side and I'm going to do the same thing. Once I've got it all stuck together, I'm going to press down on the inside just to make sure everything's firm and it's stuck to the board. Now I'm going to look for the piece that has the roof. The roof will be this piece right here. Great big cutout and then 2 small cutouts. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and cut that out. All right, on to step 6. So now you're going to look for the stairs. Now the stair paper will look just like this right here. You can see it's got a bunch of folds on there, but it is actually this one right here, a pretty big square. Okay, I'm going to cut that out, and then I'm going to do the folding. Now the folding part is one of the most crucial. You will see where the stars are. That's where it's going to attach to your house and to the board itself. So I want to make sure that I get those to where they'll fold and touch the bottom and touch the top. So right there, first I fold backwards for my first fold, and now I've got to think it's like an accordion. It's steps. So I'm going to then fold the opposite way, and I'm going to fold on those lines each time to make steps. So if I folded one way, I then fold the opposite way on the next part. Okay, and I'm going to do that all the way till I've folded each and every one of those steps. And as you can see, I didn't get them perfectly on the line. I am perfect, but my folds are not perfect. So here we go. Now I'm going to, oh, I can see I had that backwards, so I'm going to flip that back over. That happens, you can always fold right back on that line, just to make sure that it's every other step. Once I've got it folded, I'm going to then put the glue on where the star parts are. Now again, I'm using the hot glue gun here. Remember, it's very hot. You're going to be using just regular glue. I'm going to go ahead and put it on there, on where the stars are. Remembering that the bottom part where it's folded small is going to attach to the cardboard. The top part where it's a bigger step is going to attach to the house. All right, I'm going to take a look at my house. I'm going to put it on the front where you'll see 3 cuts, or a door and 2 windows. And I'm going to go ahead and touch it down, hold it there for a little bit. You're going to have to wait a little bit because you're using glue. I'm going to reach on the inside. I'm going to make sure it's all touching pretty firmly. And then when I'm done, it should look just like this, attached to the front door. Here it is, a little front step. There you go. Now I'm ready for step 7, which is attaching the roof. Now I'm going to make sure that the longer part goes on the front. Okay, the same way I did that other stuff, I'm going to now get my glue, and I'm going to glue on the stars once again. Now again, I'm going to be using my glue gun just for demonstration purposes. You're going to be using your glue or your glue stick. Okay, I'm going to put the glue right along where those stars are. And again, the porch is where the longer part goes, out to the front. Once I've got my glue on there, I'm going to then pick up my roof, make sure I line it up, and set it down on top. I'm going to have to push a little bit, not hard because you can smash it. Set it right on top, touching, make sure it's all touching, and then I'm going to give it just a moment to dry while I build my pillars. Once you've glued your roof on, it's now time to move on to step 8. For step 8, I'm going to look for the front porch pillars. You've got 2 of them, a larger and a smaller one. So I'm going to go ahead and cut those out. I'm going to use my clips again to glue them together. Now on these, there is one little spot that everybody forgets to cut out. And I'll show you that in just a moment because it's kind of tricky to see it. But it's going to be on each side. I'm going to go carefully cut out my pillars. Remember, we're always cutting on the dotted line. Now here's the spot we all miss. Right here, there's a little solid line that just goes to the middle there. So I've got a little flap that I will glue together. Okay, I'm going to do it again on this part. Again, I'm going to have that little flap. Now it's time to fold on the left, or fold on the dotted lines. Now if it's the taller pillar or the shorter pillar, it goes in a certain spot. The taller one will go on the side and touch to the ground. The shorter side is going to touch directly to the porch. Once again, a reminder, the long pillar will be attached to the roof and the base. So I'm going to go ahead and stick it to the roof and the base, and then when I go to the small pillar, I'm going to make sure that it touches the roof and the porch. And I'll show you a side shot of that as well. Now I'm going to do the same thing with the back pillars. So I'm going to cut them out just like we did before, remembering to cut on the solid lines and to fold on the dotted lines. Going to finish cutting out, and remember there's going to be that little tiny cut that everybody forgets right there. I'm going to do a quick little snip there. That goes on both sides. There we go. Okay. Now I'm going to go ahead and fold them, glue them just like I did the front ones, and then I'm going to glue them onto my house. Now we are ready for step 9, which is going to be the upper level of the house. It's that one that has that little moon shape on it. So now I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to cut out my upper level, remembering to cut on the solid lines, and then we're going to fold on the dotted lines. Now on here there is one solid line that is a little bit hidden, but you should be able to find that. It's going to be on one of the folds where it connects to the house. Once you've got it all cut out, you're going to then fold, of course, and pop open the windows. Got to get a lot of breeze going through there. We're going to glue on that striped line to stick it together, and then we are going to look and see where the glue parts are to put on the roof. Now your door is going to face onto the inside of the house, not the outside. The moon will be facing to the shorter end of the house, just like so. Okay. Once I've got that, I'm going to cut out the roof for the upper level. Fold again on the line. You can see which side's smaller, which side's shorter. Stick my glue on, stick my roof on. Next I'm going to look at the chimneys. I've got the top roof chimney and I've got the big roof chimney. So I'm going to go ahead and cut those out. Now with those I like to use my clips as well to hold them together so they can dry. So go ahead and start cutting out your chimneys, doing the folds and doing the glue. Once I've got all my folds done, it's now time to glue my chimneys onto my roof. Again, you do have those little stars where the glue goes. You'll stick it on there. And make sure you might have to use a pencil or something to push it down so that it touches the roof. There's my big chimney. You can see my big chimney sits right there on the one end, and now I'm going to go ahead and stick the chimney over the moon. So I'm going to take my smaller one. This one's a little bit harder. I'm going to have to use a little bit of glue and stick it on top of there. You may need to come over to where one of the glue guns are and have a teacher put some glue there. It's okay if we get a little spillover because it will be covered with paint. Now on to step 10 is the window shutters. You'll see them on there. It's a bunch of little squares with a little star where you fold and put the glue. So I'm going to put that on top of each and every window all around the house, under the porch, on the sides, and on the top floor as well. There's even one that will go over the top door, which I will show you in a little bit. And now for our last step, step 11, we're going to be doing some finishing touches. First, we're going to do the stairs for the upstairs. So, now these are kind of tricky. The stairs are where it gets confusing for a lot of people, and they are optional if you struggle with it. Don't worry, your house will still look cool. So, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to cut out my steps for the upstairs. Now remember, we always cut on the solid line, and then we fold on the dotted line, and we glue on the stars. Now, as I mentioned, the folding is much tougher on these stairs than any other part, so this is where it's going to get a little confusing. Again, where the star is where the glue is going to go, so I need to make sure that I fold so that that will be underneath and attached to my house and to the roof. I'm going to fold just like an accordion, alternating folds all the way up. Okay, I'll have a little staircase that should look just like this. You can see there's where the glue goes, and then up here the glue's going to go right where that last fold is once I get that folded over. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and put some glue on there now, and I'm going to stick it underneath the door on the top. Now one of the hardest parts is cutting out the stairs that lead all the way to the roof. It's one of the harder parts because it's that accordion fold again where we have to fold the opposite way each and every time. So first you're going to cut it out all the way. You're going to see where your glue goes, clear down there on one end, and then you'll have glue up at the other end as well. You've got all these folds. Remember, we fold it like an accordion. Every other one goes the opposite way. Now this does take a little bit of trial and error to get those, but you're going to fold it up like an accordion on each and every one of those dotted lines. Now it's time to decide where you want to stick those stairs. Do you want it to go to the front of the house, or do you want it to go to the back of the house? It all depends on where you would like those steps to go to get up into the crow's nest of the house. I think on mine, I'm liking how it looks towards the back, and that's where I plan to put my cemetery, so they can go from the cemetery up to the house. So I'm going to stick a little bit of glue on both ends. Again, you're not using the hot glue, so you won't have to worry about burning yourself. I'm going to stick those stairs on, and then it should look like so. Again, they are flimsy. It is a haunted house. It's not meant to be pretty. Now I'm going to cut out my coffin and my tombstones. I get to decide where to put them. If you want them in the front, that's fine. If you want them on the side, that's fine. Or if you want them in the back, that's fine as well. It's your haunted house. You're going to cut and fold just on the same lines. You're going to glue where it shows glue. Now the coffin, you'll have to glue on the bottom so that you can stick it to your pad as well. And that is how we build our haunted Halloween house out of cardstock. I hope you enjoyed this. I hope you had fun and you followed instructions. Yours should come out looking very similar to this. We will spray paint them and then you will decorate them.